Hi, this is Merv Barrett from Real Estate Connected, the creator of Easy Property Listings. And in this video, I want to show you how to import REA XML files from FeedSync into Easy Property Listings with the import plugins. So I've got a fresh install of WordPress running here on our training site. And currently there's no listings in the site. So if you click on property, land, or rental, we'll see no listings. So we want to import listings from a FeedSync installation. So we have our look at our FeedSync, which we've done in a previous video. You can see there's a stack of listings here ready to be imported. We got some rentals, some residential, land listing types to import. So we're going to jump over to WordPress and go to the dashboard. Next, we're going to go to, we've already installed WP All Import Pro. So we'll go to plugins. We've got Easy Property Listings installed, and we've got our WP All Import Pro, which is the importer. We want to add one more plugin, which is our import processing plugin, which is an add-on for WP All Import Pro, which speeds up the import processing and skips images if they're not changed. So we're just going to go to plugins, add new, and search the plugin directory, the WordPress plugin directory for Easy Property Listings, and search. And here we go. We've got the import into Easy Property Listings add-on. So we're going to install that. Once it's installed, you need to activate the plugin, and you'll see that the plugin's activated. So we'll activate that. And here we go. So we've got Easy Property Listings, we got the Easy Property Listings import add-on, and we got WP All Import Pro. Now, on the Easy Property Listings website, you can download the REA XML import script, which is pre-configured for you. So you can just go to Easy Property Listings, visit the store, and look for the import into Easy Property Listings, and you can get the REA XML script through here, which is a free download. So we'll hop back over to there. We'll visit the All Import settings, where we need to import the import template, which is this text file. So we go to All Import and press Settings, and choose the file to import. And it's on my desktop there, so I'll just choose that REA XML text file and import the templates. And you'll see a template that's ready to go. So what we need to do now is create a new import, and we'll start with the property listing type. So choose new import, and we're going to download from a URL. REA, or the FeedSync program, generates a active or dynamic URL that's constantly updated with any new listings. So we press download from a URL. Now if you visit your FeedSync installation and the help tab, you can quickly get the URL you need for the residential post type. In the REA XML format, it's called residential, and this is the property listing type in Easy Property Listings. So if we visit that URL in our browser, we'll see all the different residential listings that are there. So you got some solds, got some currents, and so on. So we're going to use this URL and copy that and paste that into the download from URL box in All Import Pro. As FeedSync updates this, when the imports run again and again, especially with the cron jobs, which are run automatically, your listings will be updated depending on this as they're updated in FeedSync. So press download, and we're going to choose new items. If you have already got listings in there, you can actually do some record matching and update existing ones in there. But most installations, you're going to use the new items. So we're going to choose the property post type, which is actually residential in the REA XML format. But the word property is a much better SEO term, and that's why the custom post type is named property. So press continue to step 2. And when you do that, you're going to see, okay, the default node selected is image. So this is not going to be very handy for us. So we need to find the residential node. So when you're looking at your FeedSync, you'll see, look, there's a node residential. So that's the one entry for each listing is housed inside the residential node. So we just need to select that from the list. Now if you're doing the rental import, which we'll show you in a few minutes, you'll see rental. So we're going to look for residential, and you can just do a find on your browser to find it, or just scroll through until you find it. There it is. So we got residential. So if we choose that, you'll see a similar looking file as to what we just saw on the browser. So we got one there, and there's 8 of them. So press continue to step 3 once you've selected the correct node that you want to import from. Right, so now that we've imported the template before, which will basically fill in all the custom fields automatically. So scroll down to the bottom and just choose Load Template and select the template that we uploaded before, and this will pre-populate all the fields and the content area for your site. So if you have a look, we've got a whole pile of fields already all filled out, ready to go. So once that's done, choose Continue to Step 4. So we've got unique ID, which is correct. We want to make sure that when you're setting up your imports that you want to create new posts. So as new listings are added, you might have 10 or 12 or 15 or 200 or a few thousand later on. You want to make sure that we're going to create new posts if they're found in the source file. We also want to delete posts that are not in the source file either. For example, when a listing becomes withdrawn or set to off market, it is actually removed from FeedSync. You can still override that and import your withdrawn and off market, but to save space and image storage on your server, we've removed that as the default setting. We also want to enable update all data that's changed in your file. The reason is when you've activated the record matching, the add-on we created sort of puts a few checks during the importing, so it actually won't update data even though you've set it to update. And we'll go through later in the video how you can disable this and update your fields depending on what you want to do. So next, go to Configure Advanced Settings, and you might want to start with 5 records and increase that depending on your server. There are some limitations on either your server or what the provider provides your data uploads, and that's fine. So the last thing you want to do is make sure you set a nice friendly name, and when you finish, press Save. So there's our new import job. Now before you start your import, you just want to visit the Easy Property Listings import settings from the extensions here. So visit Easy Property Listings extensions, and any activated extensions will appear here, the settings for them. But in this case, it's the WP All Import add-on. It's very simple. Usually it's set to disable, but we're going to choose enabled because we're ready to go. So we're going to choose enabled, and we're going to skip records if they appear again. So let's go ahead and run our import. So make sure your enable is on, go to all import, manage your imports, and we're going to run the import for this one. So it's got eight listings to import, and each listing can have up to 25 images. This may take 10-15 minutes depending on how many listings you have. If you've only got a few, if you have a few hundred, it may take an hour or so to import the first time because there are so many images. And also the speed of the import can be either your server slowing down or it's not fast enough, or it could be that the provider limits the download rate or the speed of the images that can be downloaded from the server. So just let it run. It's running. It's mostly downloading images. Okay, so we now have some images have been imported. As you can see, there's probably this is not showing the full list. The log will display at the end, so you can actually see that there's probably been 300 images downloaded. So it does take a little bit of time depending on how many images you have and how much resources the listing provider gives your server to download those images. Okay, so that import has now completed, and you can actually view the log, and you'll be able to see that everything that's actually happened. WP All Import Pro is a very excellent application for importing data into WordPress, and it's got some great logs. So if you just download the log, you can see that there's a lot of images have been imported, and that's why it just takes a few minutes to run the first import. Now with the All Import add-on we created, on second and third imports it's much faster, because oftentimes the price might change but all the images stay the same, or the agent changes the heading and some text and the price, but he hasn't maintained the images. So what the importer does is it skips those images even though you've set it to overwrite or update all data. It's very fast to import listings concurrently and regularly. So if we press Manage Imports, and we'll run the import again, so we've made no changes to the import source file, and it should only take a few seconds to complete the import. Okay, so it's basically detected no changes. It looks at the record the last time the date was modified. If it hasn't changed, it'll skip the import. And it also runs a check on the images. And that's it. So you can keep running that import very quickly on a regular basis. So let's go ahead and create another import, but we'll do this for rentals. Now, oftentimes a lot of residential or real estate offices have rentals, residential, and land REA XML post types. You can only set up a import if there are actually listings present in your XML file. So I'm just going to copy this URL. We're just going to change the residential to rental on the next import. So just go to new import, and we're going to choose paste that URL, and we're going to type in rental. And you can determine that if you visit your FeedSync installation, which I'll just do here on another browser, and you'll see that the listings, if you click on the listings tab, you'll see that there are the type. There's a column called type, so you've got rentals, we've got residential, some are sold and current, and we might have a couple land. There's a land listing there which you can import. So let's carry on. So we'll choose rental and press download, and we're going to create new items again, and we're going to select the rentals post type. So press continue to step 2. And again, you're going to want to find your rental node on the left hand column here to select from, so that you're only importing those. Otherwise you might import not very much information. So there we go. So we got 40 rentals. Yep, that looks correct. So we're going to continue to step 3. And what we've done with the import template is you can use the same one for all the 7 listing post types that come through with Easy Property Listings. So you're just going to press load the template and press continue to step 4. And again, leave the settings the same. So unique ID, we got create new posts, delete posts, and we're just going to change the settings and make sure you just give it a different friendly name because you don't want them all called property. So this is the rental post type. And we're going to go with 5 again and press continue. This time we're going to run the import because we've already set up the importer settings, and just press confirm and run import. This may take a few minutes longer as there are 40 listings, and we'll pause the video and come back to the import and show you how long it took. So it's been about 8 minutes and it's completed all those rental imports. So if you want to just test that again, you can go to manage imports, and because they're already imported, there's been no changes, it'll actually process those 40 listings very quickly. So I'm just going to run the import. The importer will run again, and our importer add-on will automatically skip the listings even though we've set it to update all the data. We've put a few checks in there to just confirm that there's actually been no changes to the listing and the date entered, and there we go. So it only takes a few seconds to process those 40 listings, as there's no images need to come in and the text changes. Now if there are text changes and no image changes, it actually runs very quickly as well. So that's how you import listings. So once you put more listings in there, it should be fine. Now if we click over to the rentals, we'll see that we've got all our rentals in there and our property. Now I've included a few little mishaps in here so we can diagnose and fix this. For example, all the agents are Merv Barrett, and on the rentals in our previous script we've missed on some of the import formats. They're missing a yes field to force this to show the price. So I want to show you how to correct those import issues even though you've got the importer. Now this is easier when you don't configure a cron job. But let's say you've imported them, it all looks good, and then a few weeks later and something's missing, or an agent details, or there's a new agent's added and there's like another 5 agents and you've got to update all your listings. So what you want to do first is disable the cron jobs. Now when you set up the cron jobs, which we'll cover later in the video, you'll see that you might have 6 or 8 jobs to set up, and it'd be difficult to terminate them all so that we're not importing while we're trying to update our data. So what you can do is if you go to all import and click on settings, there's a secret key for the cron. So when you look at your manage imports, we see it's KIHZC or something. So when you go to manage imports and you're setting up your cron jobs, so if you go to cron scheduling, you'll see that the command has that import key. So you can see import key and that. So if we change the import key, we can disable the cron jobs from running and stuffing up your import when you're trying to update things, because you don't want that if it's running every 10 minutes. You want to make sure you're not breaking an import when you're trying to fix something else. So what you do is you jump over to settings, and what I like to do is just pop in the front of the key, just change it. So I'll call it disabled, and once we're ready to go, we just remove that and your imports will run as per normal. So it's always a good idea to change the secret key to disable your imports running when you're trying to make some changes. So I'll save the settings, which will now stop the cron jobs from running automatically. Right, so if we want to have a look at our listings again, we've got Merv Barrett as all the agents, and that's usually because I'm the currently logged in user and it hasn't detected anybody else in the files to assign that user to. Now the way Easy Property Listings works is each user in your source data file needs to be present as a user in WordPress. So if you jump out of the feed sync, you can click on the Agents tab and you'll get a list of all the different agents that are present in your XML file. So we got 6 or 5 agents here. Now the format for their name should be first, last, with a hyphen replacing the space. That's how our data record checking. Basically, we're using the name of the person to check, to generate the listing and get the right information. So if we go to our users, we need to create a user for each person who has a listing. So if we go to users and we're going to add a new user, and for example, if we jump back over to FeedSync, you'll see John Forrester. So John-Forrester lowercase was the best case scenario. Now if you choose the Help tab, you can actually generate a list of agents and see their first name, last name, and what you recommend, what their username should be. So I'll paste that into the browser and we'll see. So we got first name, agent name. You can also use the WP All Import Pro importer add-on, which is a premium add-on which can import straight into the user database. But as there's not that many here, I'd rather just create them manually. So let's look at the first person, and so let's go ahead and add another user. So we're going to copy the username and paste it in there, and we're going to go and again we're going to set them as an author and turn that off, so that'll send them an email to let them know the account. You can obviously disable that with WordPress. And let's go ahead and add a couple more. Okay, so now that we've set up our agents, we want to, if we run our imports again, because we haven't changed anything and the record skipping is enabled, then the imports there'll be no changes to the imports. So let's just quickly run that. And you'll see that nothing will change. It'll basically skip them all. So in order to sort of revert All Import Pro back to its default settings, you need to disable the record skipping option in the importer add-on. So if we visit there, go to the extensions on Easy Property Listings, click on disable. So you want to disable the All Import Pro import settings, and don't quickly run it, otherwise you'll import all your images again. So we're just going to go back to All Import, click on Manage Imports, and we're going to edit our import settings for each of these imports. So we're going to choose import settings on the rental. And what we can do, because we're now running the importer as standard, it's going to look and update all data. So we can choose the option here to update existing posts with changed data. Now you can either update all, which will include images, or if you've just made some mistakes with or want to add a new custom post type field or some new data type then in your own import, you can choose to select only to import the author, which will speed up your import process significantly. Especially just deactivating images and updating all other data is much faster than having images. So let's just turn all that off, except we're going to leave the author as it is. I'm going to save that import, and I'm going to do the same to the property. So I'm going to edit the property settings and update the existing posts, choose the data to update, and deselect everything except for the author. Okay, so for now that we got the importer deactivated, the record skipping deactivated, we can now run these imports, and it's only going to update the author details. So it only takes a few minutes, even if there's a few thousand listings. Okay, so it's almost done. And I'll go to manage imports, and we're going to do that, run the property import to update the agents there. And now if we have a look at our properties, we should have the correct authors for each listing. So we got John here, we got Logan for a lot of the other ones, and if we go to the rentals, we should see, I must have missed one of the rentals, but we got a lot of Dallas. That'll do it. I've I put her name in twice, didn't notice. So if you've made a mistake with their username, there's always a handy plugin to help you out. So if you just go to plugins, add new, there's a username renamer plugin on the WordPress org directory. Username, rename user. It's a handy little plugin for renaming users. So I'm just going to install and activate the rename users plugin. And once that's activated, your users will have a new option there to rename usernames. This is quite easy, so we can just have a quick look at all our users and correct that one that I spelled incorrectly, and that's why it hasn't record matched, because it's different. So I'm going to use a login name and change that to the correct one. And if we go to all users, we should see the correct person. And if I rerun that rental imports, we will see that all the listings come in with the correct author. Okay, so if we go to rentals, we have now got the correct authors for all the, I spelled her name wrong. Thankfully, we don't need to use rename users for that. You can just edit the username and change her name there. And update the user. Okay, there we go. We've got all our listings with the correct authors assigned, and if there's multi-authors, that will also work. Now, in this particular case, we're importing from a CRM called Rex, and they're missing a node that is a yes for rentals. We've updated the scripts, which you'll be able to download the new version when you import, so this won't need to happen. But it's good to show you that if there is a field that has an error, you can update the import or update just the fields and leave the images, so that again this only takes a few moments to correct any import errors you might have. So we're going to go manage imports. I'm going to look for the rental. I'm going to import or edit the import, and you'll see that on the right hand side some formats have the pricing, the rental price, period, week, and they've got price view, but the node should have a display yes or no. So what we're going to do is going to find the rental. So we're going to open up our Easy Property Listings Custom Fields section. We're going to search for our rental. Let's just do search for rent. There we go. So rent, and set rent period, rent text, and display rent. So we can actually force them all to say yes. The value is yes or no, or if it's not yes, anything but yes will not work. So if you just update that one custom field, we can update the template, and then we can visit the options. So if we go to import settings, and we can now untick our author and say update all custom fields, and just leave it as all update all custom fields. As it's mostly just text, it's very quick. So we can save that, rerun the import, and we should have all the rental pricing correctly set up. You can see we've got some little notes that pop in here during the import, so you know what's happening. And there we go. So we go look at our rentals, we should have the correct pricing. So we got $4.50 per week, they're all set. Most rentals always display the price. It's usually only the properties that have the option to display or hide the price. So there we go. That's how you use the importer. But the last thing you want to do is make sure you set everything back to how it should be by default and enable the automatic record skipping and remove the disabled command from our all import settings. So if we visit the all import manage imports, we're going to make sure we enabled update all data, which I think I made a mistake before in the video. Sorry about that, but we want to make sure that that's actually ticked to enable everything, to update everything. Once that's enabled, jump over to Easy Property Listings Settings and Extensions and enable the record skipping. And all import, manage imports, and run your imports again to make sure that everything's working as it should. That's probably why it was running a bit slower before, because it was checking to make sure that there were no records when it should have been running the other way. So let's just run that for the property, confirm and run. Okay, so now we have all our listings. They're all looking good. The import ran in a few seconds and we're good to go. So just double check your settings again. So that's enabled. The import jobs are correct. So now we can go back to settings and disable, modify the secret key, remove that little disabled, and save changes. So the last step is to automate the imports with the cron job so that they're constantly running. Now what you need to do is log into your cPanel where your server is, and we're going to look for the cron jobs. So we got cron jobs here in the advanced, and we're going to configure some cron jobs to import listings. You can remove if you leave that blank, you won't get emails, because having the cron job send hundreds of emails every few minutes that it's running is not very, you can also use a command here to hide them individually, but it's best to just turn it off unless you're using the emails for something else. But what we want to do is visit each import job and click on the cron scheduling. So open that one up, and we've got these commands. Now, this is just the URL, so make sure you're copying it from this section here with the wget command. So we're going to copy the trigger. So basically the trigger says, how often do I run? We usually set this to run every hour, and we like to stagger them. So the properties would run at 10 minutes past, and then we'd run the rentals at 20 minutes past, so that they're not running at the same time and really putting a strain on your server. So copy the trigger command. Going to jump back over to the cron job and paste the command in. And because the time is 12:27, I'm going to set that to once per hour, but we're going to set the first minute to run at 30 minutes past. And we're going to add that cron job. The next thing you want to do is there's two cron jobs for each, two cron commands for each job. So one is the trigger and one's the processing. This one can be run every 2 minutes. So I copy the processing command, and we're going to paste, we're going to choose the common 5. This one has a 5 option, change that to 2. So */2 means every 2 minutes, and add that cron job. Okay, so those two are added. Next, I'm going to do that for the rental. So I'm going to go to cron scheduling on the second import. Again, copy the trigger command, paste that in, and we'll run that at 35 minutes past. Like I said, it's best to stagger, and it depends on how many listings you have and that sort of thing. So you just have to play with this depending on your server, but once every hour at 10 and 20 minutes past, or 10 minutes between each one is a good number to run it at. Now each has a unique import key, and I've just clicked the wrong one, so I think it's 5. Okay, so I'm doing 5, so click on processing, go back to cron, run every 5, and you can change that to 2 again. It'll import, say, 3 records every 2 minutes. So within 10 minutes, most of your listings should be imported. So add a new cron job. Okay, so now we've got 4 cron jobs. You can see the import ID is probably very small on your screen, but you can see the import ID is 4. You can import ID 4, and we got the other one 5 and 5, and the only difference is the trigger or processing. So that's all correct. So in a minute or so, this import ID 4 should start running automatically, and the history logs will show you that the cron's running correctly. So it's now 12:30 and we can see that I've just refreshed the page and we see that the cron is running. And then in 2 minutes the processing or the triggers run at 12:30, and then 2 minutes later the first listings will import. So we just refresh the page a few minutes later and all listings are skipped, so it tells you they're all skipped, and the next cron job has run. And that'll take a few more minutes to complete. But that's how you configure Easy Property, or how to import listings from REA XML into WordPress, into Easy Property Listings using our import add-on and All Import Pro. You can get All Import Pro from WP All Import, or search the web for that and you'll end up on their website. It's a great plugin. You can import any kind of information into WordPress, highly recommended. And you can also visit Easy Property Listings and visit the store to get a hold of FeedSync and the All Import add-on and the scripts that you need to save you a heap of time importing listings into your WordPress website. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to hearing what you do with your website. So always submit them to the showcase. We love seeing what you create with Easy Property Listings and WordPress. Thank you very much.